I'm at base camp on Denali right now with beautiful Mount Foraker, rarely summited, behind me. In this video, I'm going to share some of the guiding secrets about climbing on Denali. Just a couple of things that I thought about this morning while I was freezing in my tent. Usually when you go on a guided trip, you're only going to have about 2 liters of water to drink a day. That's like everything you're going to need. However, based on my experience, you're going to choke out, and that's just how it is. Because with a guided team, you have big pots, you have so many people going, and they can only melt so much snow. That's why when you check out the list of gear on these different guided services, they only bring 2 liters of water. Whoa. Me personally, I bring 5 liters of water container, plus I'm solo, so I have a liter of backup, but I usually chug through from morning till the evening 4 liters of water, so be prepared to be a little dehydrated. Number 2, I've seen guided teams at 14,000 foot camp come in, they get their tent pad set up, they get their tent set up, and then, cool, yeah, let's check it out, this is glorious. But the guides failed to say, hey, we need to build snow walls. People are like, yeah, no worry. The guides were quite ambivalent about it because just like today, it's a beautiful day. As I'm sitting in my tent knowing what's going to happen, 3 hours later, snow is going sideways, 40, 50 miles an hour, 70 kilometer an hour winds. And those people had to put on their hoods and parkas and begin shoveling and building snow walls to protect themselves and their tents. Miserable, completely avoidable. When they got to camp, if they could have just slowly built up the snow walls, then when the Rager came at 14,000 feet at minus 20 degrees Fahrenheit or minus 28 degrees Celsius, everything would have been fine. So just because your guides don't say it, doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. Number 3, I don't know how many times I've seen this, but guided teams will travel in the hottest part of the day. Yes, I'm standing on the glacier. My toes are actually, hopefully you can see my skis there. I don't know, maybe kick it up and I'll fall over and get a funny video moment. But the guides travel at the hottest part of the day, not the coldest part, and that's miserable. To me, a person who's kind of sensitive to heat, you are going to be sweating. You're going to be stripping down to your shirt, maybe your sun hoodie, and that's it. And woo, be ready for that. If you're somebody who flames out in heat, I got to tell you, you're going to have a hard time. I've been in the lower Kahiltna, you can see behind me, in the broiler 3 and 4 o'clock. I despised it. So just a word of warning, guided teams seem to love traveling in the afternoon. The counter to that is guided teams will also travel in the worst weather because they're on a schedule. You only have so many days as a guided team to get to hopefully the summit and return, but that means when it's raging blowing, a lot of times the guide says, okay, put your goggles on, put your mittens on, we're going to have to forge on, and honestly it kind of sucks because again, that's part of the guided schedule. Now as far as I've seen, check this out, guided trips are now 5 figures. Ouch, ka-ching, euros, dollars, yen, whew. Now you have a better chance of making it compared to me, but that's just a thing to consider is you're going to be traveling in some pretty sucky weather because of that. Now, one of my friends, Randall Peters, he is the author of Journeys to the Edge. The first guided trip he took to Denali, he was at high camp with his team. A storm came in and they were stuck there, but they knew the weather was going to clear out in 2 days. But the guide said, hey, what do you guys want to do? And people said, well, we got to get our flight home. And Randall said, look, you paid like $10,000, $12,000 for the guide, probably 15 grand total, and you're not willing to wait 2 days? People are like, no, we got to catch our flight. We got to go home. And then they're home and like, you literally could have made the summit. So just be aware, you might be this close to getting the summit. People, then other people will be like, no, I got to get my flight. That's more important. Instead of messaging their spouse or whoever and saying, cancel my flight. So just be aware, you might be forced to turn around when you're this close to succeeding. That really hurts. And by the way, I have a book, Lost at Windy Corner, that tells about my expedition experience the first year skiing solo and snowshoeing solo in Denali. But let me tell you, you will learn lots of entertaining stories about guides in there. And the last tip, this was a shocker several years ago, that there was a guided team, they were headed for the summit, and somebody got all altitude, bleh, started puking and hurling and turning into a mess. And the guide was there, great, with the other couple of people on the team, but they forgot the sleeping bag. That's right, they didn't want to carry the weight, and the guide said, no, to go faster. And the guide literally had to abandon the client to go down to get help to bring a sleeping bag. Holy schmoly. So just because you pay these guided services a lot, not to diss on them, but over time they're great. However, I've seen some very critical mistakes made by them. So if your brain says, ooh, this is a bad idea, speak up. Don't put yourself in super danger, because traveling without your sleeping bag here is death. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe. Check out links below.